The Las Vegas Raiders really took care of their defense in free agency, replacing all their losses in free agency with similar players. So you can make a case that the Raiders are going to want to go heavy on the offense in the draft. But then you see they made some moves for the offense too, and it makes you wonder. Maybe they just wanted to go into the draft with no real desperate need of anything so they can simply get the best player available. Who the best player in the draft is to the Raiders is anyone's guess now, and so is who will be available. The draft can go a number of ways. There is no true number 1, 2, or 3 pick in this draft, and anyone can fall to the Raiders at number 6 overall, because there don't seem to be any players in this draft that don't have any questions about them. Plus, the Raiders made moves that give them flexibility in this draft. I'll go ahead and start with my guy, Ashton Jeanty. You already know he's my best player available, and to me, no one in college football did what they do better than Jeanty runs the ball. It sure the hell ain't what I think, though. What do the Raiders think, and why did they get Raheem Mostert in free agency? Sure, they could still get Jeanty, and the move for Mostert would still make sense. He could help Jeanty with the load and be a change of pace back. They can also not agree with me and not believe Jeanty's the best player in this draft. There's also the position value thing, where running backs aren't supposed to be worth anything. That's not what head coach Pete Carroll believes, though. He himself said the Raiders are going to run the ball and play defense. You need a good running back for that. The Raiders will also be able to get a good running back in round 2, though. Maybe one of Chip Kelly's boys from Ohio State. You could take a guy like that, put him in there with Mostert, and have a good running game. They can also give Zamir White another shot with Mostert. That idea would lessen the urgency of drafting a running back. I'm not saying I like that idea, but you don't know what they're thinking. Okay, you haven't heard me say anything about Abdul Carter. That's because I don't think he's going to drop to 6. The draft media is starting to talk about that possibility now, though. Could the Raiders turn down the chance to take him if he's available? Because you know or you can imagine what he and Crosby could do together. The 6'3", 250-pounder isn't the biggest of edge rushers, but my goodness, with just his speed and bend, he can get 10 sacks a year. If he plays in a loud stadium, tackles will have all kinds of problems because he's lightning quick off the ball. However, the Raiders did bring back Malcolm Kuntz, who racked up 8 sacks over the second half of the season in 2023. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to play it down in 2024 because of an injured knee. Of course, you know he's back on a 1-year, $12 million deal to try to play at the level he played at in 2023. So as you can see, the Raiders will not be left without an edge rusher on the other side of Crosby this year, but he is on a 1-year deal. So if Carter is indeed available, the Raiders could very well take him at number 6 overall. Could the stress reaction in his foot be a factor in this whole thing? Interior defense lineman Mason Graham is another guy I haven't talked about because I don't think he'll make it to number 6. He's going to be great and rip the NFL up, but I don't see him as the best player in this draft or how the Raiders need him. I'm also not Brady or Spytek. They have the Michigan connection with them, but already have Christian Wilkins, whose season was cut short last year due to a Jones fracture in his left foot. I mistakenly said it was a torn ACL before, so I do apologize for that. The Raiders also have Adam Butler, who's played well the last 2 years. They're all 3 techniques, so how can the Raiders use Graham? Well, Butler's contract is only $16 million over 3 years and with only $11 million guaranteed. That's not exactly breaking the bank for a productive 3 technique. The dead cap hit isn't so big if they trade him after 1 year either. The Raiders got him at a good price, so a team would definitely want to trade for him. So is it too much temptation if Graham is available? How strong is that Michigan connection? Could they let him slide by? That's another player the Raiders made sure they don't have to have, but could fall to them. Then there's Will Johnson, who many have been talking about lately. He's going to be a good pro, but again, I don't see a better football player than Jeanty. But also again, it's not what I think. Of course there's a Michigan connection with Brady and Spytek, and Pete Carroll loves him some big corners. Johnson is 6'2". He's very athletic too, so there isn't much not to like. He's another guy we have to wonder if the Raiders will let pass if he's available, because they don't have to take him. They already have Jacorian Bennett, who was having a breakout season when he went out injured last year. Then in free agency, they just got Eric Stokes. He's the 2021 first-round pick of the Green Bay Packers. He balled right away as a rookie, but injuries hampered him the next 2 years. Then last year he stayed healthy but didn't quite play at the level he played at as a rookie. At 6'1", 195 pounds, he's a big corner too, and has 4.2 wheels. After staying healthy last year, the hope now is that he can recapture the form that he had as a rookie. So while Johnson is a tempting option, the Raiders really don't have to have him. The latest one I'm hearing about is receiver, and I don't want to mess his name up, so I'm going to say Ted McMillan. He's getting a lot of love right now because he just ran his 40 under 4.5 at his pro day. That was big because speed was a big question going into his pro day, and he gave the scouts the answer he wanted to give them. I personally don't see him as number 6 overall material, but I'm not Spike Tate Carroll or Brady. At 6'4", 219 pounds, that 4.48 40 he ran at his pro day was good, but he doesn't get separation and struggles to get off press man. That's why he had to make a lot of contested catches, but with that 34-inch vertical leap, it's going to be tough to do that in the NFL. The Raiders are in the mix for a receiver as they don't have a true number 1 receiver. Jacoby Myers is a possession receiver, not a true number 1. I'm hearing they're trying to get Amari Cooper right now, and that's a pretty good idea. He can still run, which is something the Raiders can use. You don't need a bunch of possession receivers around the tight end like Brock Bowers. You need speed. We don't want to see the Raiders reach, right? Well, picking up Cooper would help with that. There's been a lot of talk about this draft class at the quarterback position, both good and bad. Shedeur Sanders started off as the number 1 quarterback prospect as he's unanimously considered the best passer of this draft class. Funny things started to happen though. Neither he nor fellow top quarterback prospect Cam Ward worked out at the combine, but Ward still passed him at the combine. They said Sanders came off as arrogant in interviews. Of course, there will be teams that say that in order to hopefully make Sanders false to them, but you never know. We might have to add a player to the discussion because Jackson Dart is flying up draft boards. Brady might end up liking him. You have to wonder if Dart's flight up the draft boards lands him in the top 10. The Raiders have Geno Smith now to make sure they go into 2025 with some kind of quarterback. I heard he was going to get an extension, but nothing has happened yet. Will the Raiders bite if Sanders, Ward, or Dart are there at 6? Brady did say he wants his quarterback to sit behind a veteran. The Raiders are set up perfectly for that if Smith doesn't get an extension soon. Keep an eye on that. This is a wide open draft for the Raiders, and they made it that way for themselves. They either have a guy coming back from an injury or got a free agent to fill needs, so they don't have to reach for need at number 6 overall. You guys know I love Genty, and the Raiders came in with the need of running back, but they got most in free agency, so he can either go with what they have or a later pick. Carter's unlikely to be there, but it'd be tempting to take him if he is. But with Kuntz there, they don't have to. The Raiders have excellent depth at the 3 technique and defensive line. Graham's another guy they could take if he's there, but they don't have to. Will Johnson, the quarterbacks, the Raiders have it all covered. They're going to take the guy they believe is the best player available. Thank you for watching. See you next time.